My name's James Dyson and I'm a design engineer.
When James graduated from the Royal College of Art in 1970, his first project was the Sea Truck, a high-speed boat for use in the Navy. A few years later, James was renovating his house. He became frustrated with his wheelbarrow. The narrow wheel meant it got stuck in the mud, was hard to balance, and cement stuck to the metal sides. This frustration inspired him to develop the ball barrow. James replaced the small wheel with a large inflatable ball, making it easier to move. He also changed the material to lightweight, non-stick plastic. Thinking differently had helped James to solve a design problem.
In 1993, I invented the first bagless vacuum cleaner. It wasn't easy. In fact, it took me 5,127 prototypes to get it right.
When James bought a brand new Hoover, he was disappointed. It didn't work as well as he'd hoped, as it lost suction and didn't pick up the dirt. One day, when James was out walking, he passed a factory. On its roof was a special system to separate dirt from the air and expel clean air. It was a cyclone. This inspired James to try the same with his vacuum. He rushed home and built a mini cardboard cyclone, and it worked. James knew he was onto something. There was still a long way to go. James persevered with his idea, and after 5,127 prototypes, he produced the first Dyson bagless vacuum cleaner.
I now have over 700 design engineers working with me here at our headquarters in Wiltshire. Their job is to solve problems and redesign things to make them work better. But I need more of them, people who work hard, are good at coming up with new ideas, and who keep going when things get difficult.
When we were designing the air multiplier, gathering our ideas together as a team was the first essential step.
Sketching is a great way to communicate your ideas. It doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a really good way of showing how something might work and how it might look.
All Dyson design engineers carry around a sketchbook in which we record these ideas. Each page needs to be signed and dated so we know who the idea belongs to.
For each Dyson machine, we create hundreds of prototypes. It starts in cardboard, then computer-aided design, or CAD, is used to create detailed computerized 3D images of individual parts, and even do virtual testing. Graphics for computer games are created in the same way. After the CAD file has been created, it can be sent to a 3D printer, just as you would send a normal document to the printer. At Dyson, we use rapid prototyping machines. These take the CAD image and slice it into many thin layers, like a loaf of bread. The rapid prototyping machine then prints each of these layers and stacks them on top of one another to create a model. Once the design is finalised, the CAD file is sent to the manufacturers. Our machines are mostly produced by injection moulding. A metal mould is made in the shape of the part required. Hot plastic is then squirted into the mould and is left to set for a few seconds. The mould then opens up and the part is taken out. Having a working product is not the end of the design process. You must test your design. It allows you to see what might happen to your product when people start to use it, to find the weak points and improve it. So we use robots to test our machines tens of thousands of times to make sure they won't break. We also use high-speed cameras to help analyse what's happening. The high-speed camera takes 40,000 frames a second, allowing the engineer to see things like tiny dust particles moving through the machine. It's not just mechanical testing. Seeing how people might use and abuse the machine is important. At Dyson, we have a user course, a kind of obstacle course, where a team tests the machines to breaking point. They feed this information back to the engineers who use it to make their designs even better.
In a way, problem solving is a disease. You want to do it, and although each one's a headache, it's there to be solved. It's a mountain to climb. Mountaineers have that disease, and we have that. We were a group of engineers starting to want to make a different type of product with better technology. And we've carried on like that. Things are too heavy, things are too polluting, things don't perform as well as they should, things don't last as long as they should. There are just hundreds of problems in every product. What we're doing is trying to do something different and better. If you always do what you know is going to work, then okay, you'll have less failure, but you'll never make a substantive change or a breakthrough. What we're trying to do every day is to make better technology and design and develop better performing products. And I think we've gathered around us a group of people who want to do that. There's a myth about inventors that all you need is one good idea and you'll make your fortune. But the fact of the matter is, you don't have ideas like that. Well, you start with a problem that you're having to solve, and you start building prototypes, hundreds of them, perhaps even thousands of them. And very often, the original idea or the original problem doesn't look anything like the final solution. So the important thing is this journey from prototype to prototype. And during that process, of course, you get hundreds or thousands of failures. And the failure is the starting point, because when something fails, you understand why it fails, and then you start to think of ideas as to ways you can overcome that failure. I mean, the cyclones for my vacuum cleaner took over 5,000 prototypes. That's 5,000 failures before I'd cracked it. So the moral of the tale is keep on failing. It works.
The city's chief magistrate. The new Rotark Mark IV sea truck, one of the most versatile seagoing workboats in the world. It can be adapted for diving operations, marine surveys, anti-pollution services, firefighting, and increasingly as a passenger ferry across rivers or lakes or out to islands. Cabin versions can be fitted out as floating clinics with bunk beds, stretcher racks, medical supplies, and water storage. The flat polyurethane sandwich hull skims over the water like a water ski. Fast, stable and safe. 1 or 2 inboard or up to 3 outboard engines can be fitted. And suitably adapted, it can tow or push up to 450 tons. It beaches as smoothly as an amphibian with a quick-action bow-loading ramp ideal for rescue or recovery work, or for the more usual transportation of wheeled vehicles across deep or shallow water. A marine Jill of all trades and mistress of them all.
Conventional fans have blades, and the problem with blades is that each blade chops up the air into a sort of wedge-shaped bit of air. And so coming towards you from the fan, you have this series of wedge-shaped blocks, and they buffet your face. They're also extremely difficult to clean. Just imagine having to take this thing to bits and clean all this, clean the fan blades and clean that. They also rely on this device here to clamp them to get them at the right angle. And you tighten it up and then the thing flops forward. So we've solved the problem of the buffeting by having no blades. The air comes out smoothly from this gap here and blows in a clear stream towards you. When we were developing the Airblade hand dryer, we had air coming out of this very narrow slot at about 400 miles an hour. And we noticed an extraordinary thing, that air was being drawn in from around the slot at tremendous pace and joining in from behind the air blade. We further analysed this phenomenon of entrained air on CFD and wondered if we could make a fan using the principle of entrained air. So here we've got a cutaway through the air multiplier. The air comes in at the bottom, goes through the mixed flow turbine and up into the loop at the top. Now the air comes out of this slot here and it comes down over this curved surface and down this ramp and off here. Now as it goes round that curved surface here, it hugs the shape and it's drawing air in like that. And as it shoots off the end here, it creates a negative pressure here and a huge amount more air is drawn in from the surrounding air. what actually happens is that we're multiplying the original airflow about 15 or 16 times. And you get a very clean, unobstructed and smooth flow of air. It's not chopped up as you get with blades. And also, because there's no blades, it's very easy to clean. You simply wipe it. And also, it's extremely safe. I can switch it on and quite happily put my head through it, which you couldn't do with an ordinary fan. It's also very easy to adjust the angle, and that's because this arc here is described around the center of gravity of the motor. So it stays wherever I put it. It's very simple to do. And the fact that the motor's down here makes it very stable. The other fans have the motor up here, which makes them top heavy. Ours is bottom heavy, so it's very stable and has a low center of gravity. And it has a dimmer switch to control the airflow, so you can adjust it to any setting that you want. And it has oscillation.
Dyson aerodynamics engineers have developed Dyson core flow technology. It occurs when high-velocity air jets are propelled over a convex dome. As the jets converge, a high-pressure core forms. Forced to steer around it, the air coalesces into a focused flow to deliver a stream of cooling, purified air, precisely where you need it.
We're here today at the launch of Dyson's latest new product. Here it is, the Dyson Groom Tool. It's an accessory that fits on any Dyson vacuum cleaner, and the idea is that you brush your dog with it and it captures the hair before it escapes around the house, saving you vacuuming it later. So how it works, you attach it to the end of the hose while the vacuum cleaner is on, apply some pressure here. This releases these little brushes, so you can start brushing your dog as normal, as you would do with a regular brush. The little opening here will capture the hair and skin as you brush, and there's another little opening here, which means that any sort of rogue hair that escapes will be captured there. When you're finished brushing, you simply release the pressure, and that increases the suction level here, which means that any stray hairs that have built up along these little slits will be captured as well and stored safely in the cylinder of the vacuum cleaner rather than escaping around the house. So this costs £40. We've seen it in action today with the dog here, who seemed quite receptive to it and didn't seem to be too distressed by the whole thing. We'll be taking it back to Which so we can have some of our researchers try it out with their own dogs at home, and we'll be writing a full first look review on that shortly. In the meantime, for test results and full reviews of hundreds of vacuum cleaners, go to which.co.uk.
The command effect is the tendency for a fast-moving jet of air travelling over a surface to attach to that surface. And then even if the surface is curving away, the jet of air will attach and follow that. We wanted to use the command effect to style hair. We set ourselves the challenge of how do we design a curling device but without bristles. But you still need something to give you the tension on the hair to wrap the hair around the barrel. So we used the command effect to attach the hair and wrap it around the barrel. So the main challenge was making sure that we could have a lot of flow attaching around a very small tight barrel. And the smaller the radius, the harder it is to get the flow to attach to it. The solution was to have multiple slots. So we've got 6 slots which go around the barrel. Each one multiplies the flow around the barrel to give you a spinning vortex of air all the way around. Being able to use the Dyson V9 digital motor, because it works at a much higher pressure, enables us to generate the command effect much more strongly and wrap much more hair than it would do if we didn't have it. What makes Coanda so good for styling is that it does several jobs at once. It attracts the hair to the barrel, it automatically wraps the hair, it holds it there in position whilst it dries, and it blows volume through every
Allergens we all know about, like house dust and pollen, can build up in the home, and dry air can cause dehydration. But what you can't see are gases like nitrogen dioxide and benzene, which make air quality worse. Dyson's purifying humidifying fan deals with all these problems. Sensors automatically diagnose and report them in real time on screen or via the Dyson app, then manage them using 3 combined Dyson technologies. HEPA filtration captures dust and pollen, activated carbon absorbs odours and gases, then UV cleanse technology kills bacteria in the water to humidify the air hygienically, before the evaporator rehydrates the air to a comfortable humidity, increasing the airflow's cooling effect in summer. Air multiplier technology then circulates the purified, humidified air for a better environment all year.